Mahatma Gandhi once put the problem of retaliation like this. He said, "It's an eye for an eye until the whole world is blind." It's a powerful statement, but it's not quite true, is it? An eye for an eye won't make the world blind. Two eyes for one eye might do it. That would get things escalating. Or an eye for an eye for an eye for an eye for an eye. That would do it. But an eye for an eye was actually an upper limit for legal recompense. It explicitly forbade the escalation of violence. This phrase comes from within the first body of laws after the Ten Commandments. In Exodus chapter 21, from verse 24, it says this: "Eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, bruise for bruise." Here's what's being established. You have the right to compensation for the losses that you have borne through someone else's sin. If someone accidentally pokes you in the eye, then you get to have legal recompense for your eye that's been gouged. Elsewhere in the law's application, we see that eyes and burnings and woundings are not literally exacted as payments. I don't now gouge your eye out. No, instead the value of what was inflicted on me is to be paid by you. So the very next verses in Exodus give a case study of how we are to how we are to respond if our eye or our teeth are wounded. Verse 26, "An owner who hits a female slave or male slave in the eye and destroys it must let the slave go free to compensate for the eye." Verse 27, "And an owner who knocks out the tooth of a male or female slave must let the slave go free to compensate for the tooth." This is not a bloodthirsty law. It's not actually about taking eyes from other people at all. It's literally about setting out appropriate compensation for wrongdoing, making sure that there's recompense for the losses that we suffer. The application of this law will not blind the world, but neither will it save the world. All it does is establish a foundation of justice. We see in the law that there are such things as just deserts. There are punishments that fit the crime. And is there anything more fair than eye for eye, tooth for tooth? Nothing could be more fair. But God's last word on the matter is not about fairness. Actually, the phrase in Exodus which introduces an eye for an eye is often forgotten. In verse 23, the whole passage begins like this: "If there is serious injury, you are to take life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth," etc. If you take life, then your life must be given, or you give compensation to that level. That's the law, life for life. That's justice. But listen again to the phrase. Does it remind you of anything? Life for life. John Stott once described sin as us substituting ourselves for God. We put ourselves in God's place. It's mutiny, but that's our heart's inclination. What is salvation, on the other hand? Salvation is God substituting himself for us. Christ comes and puts himself in our place because that's his heartbeat. So here comes Jesus to a world of guilty sinners, and we deserve that death penalty. We deserve life for life in that condemnatory way. We have mutinously rebelled against God and forfeited our lives. The punishment is just. It fits the crime. Life for life. But now Jesus steps forward and substitutes himself for us, and he says, no, life for life. And this time it's not a punishment, it's a proposal, it's a gift. Jesus says life for life, not yours for mine. Instead he says mine for yours. You know, Gandhi was right to fear our cycles of revenge just spiraling on forever. He saw an eye for an eye spiraling out of control. But what is the solution? The solution is Jesus Christ. He's the one who puts an end to the retribution. He is the place where revenge ends. He absorbs it all and says, eye for eye, that's law. Law is good, and it limits the evil of the heart, but here's what really changes the heart, the gospel. Christ coming to us and saying, not eye for eye, but life for life. Me for you, says Jesus. This is the power to change the world.